On today's show, we're breaking down the Phoenix Suns trading for Charlotte Hornets forward Miles Bridges in exchange for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neale, and unprotected 2033 first-round pick. It's all that and much more in this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and thank you so much for joining me on this breaking news Sunday, maybe if you're listening to this on Monday morning edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We got a lot of things to get into. My name is Benjamin Garcia. Suns trade for Miles Bridges. We're going to talk about the person as much as we will the player, plus what the Phoenix Suns gave up and where do they go to from here. There's a lot of things coming at us. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. But before we get there, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is officially here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. So I've got a doozy of an episode for you guys. And I really don't even know where to begin. I've really had to structure and framework what I want to say because this is not just any other trade. And, you know, a quick teaser, sounds like the Suns aren't done adding players. So we're going to talk about all things Miles Bridges, and let's start here with my instant reaction. So this goes back all the way to June 25th when the Charlotte Hornets traded away LaMelo Ball. I tweeted out on social media, on Twitter, you can find me over there, at Ben Garcia Show, and I said verbatim, okay, this makes a little sense now with LaMelo Ball LaMelo Ball being traded away from the Charlotte Hornets. I said verbatim, quote, I'd keep an eye on Miles Bridges and the Suns. Naz Reid should be the starting power forward now for the Hornets. Charlotte lost some shooting. Grayson Allen and Ryan Dunn could be the package, plus the MSU connection. No, I don't want him here, but I see the framework. It wasn't just pointed out by me. It was numerous people in the Suns community kind of seeing the connective strings between the Charlotte Hornets and the Phoenix Suns, potentially a framework for Miles Bridges to come over in a deal. For me, I thought it'd be Grayson Allen and Ryan Dunn. Grayson Allen, obviously a superb three-point shooter, took a step back this year shooting the three-point ball. I already talked with my guy Doug Branson over at Locked On Hornets about that. Part of the reasoning for that is Grayson Allen was just asked to do a lot for this team. And so now I think in maybe a little bit of a lesser role, behind Con Knipple and company, that he will go back to being that nearly 40% three-point shooter. The Charlotte Hornets actually really doubled down on three-point shooting, bringing in both Royce O'Neale and Grayson Allen. And of course, that, regardless of what people tell you, coveted 2033 first-round pick that they also got as well. So I'm not surprised in the slightest that the Phoenix Suns traded for Miles Bridges. I am a little disappointed that the Suns traded for Miles Bridges. Now, it's kind of hard for me to play both sides here. And I don't think you really necessarily need to, because on one end, you have the crowd of, well, you said you weren't happy that the Phoenix Suns were running it back. And I wasn't. I've always been the person that has said the Phoenix Suns should mostly bring it back, but add a couple of players on the margins to help supplement what they do well. I'll bring up Dean Wade one more time on this show because he's been like my guy in free agency. I don't see that happening at all now. It doesn't even make any sense for them to bring him on. But I've always said someone like Dean Wade, right, that you can bring in who could potentially be your starting power forward, who could shoot the three ball decently well. It's not going to cost you anything. It's only going to cost you money, a taxpayer mid-level exception, and help supplement what you do well. A guy that can rebound, a guy that can play defense pretty well, fits your culture pretty well. Instead, the Suns opted for Miles Bridges. Again, there are numerous other components to this that we might even have to get into tomorrow. Again, there's so much coming out right now, it's not even funny. But the Phoenix Suns bring Miles Bridges in, and I am disappointed with them bringing him back because it's you don't have to be, the Phoenix Suns are bringing it all back, I'm pissed off that they're doing this, or the Phoenix Suns need to make a massive move. There is some wiggle room, and that's kind of where I've always been. Like, they should mostly bring it back, but they should bring a player or two in that, helps them on the margins and helps figure out what they want to do. But with Miles Bridges, my honest reaction to this is the Hornets got a lot. The Hornets got a lot. Miles Bridges, the fit. Let's talk about the player first. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. At all. People will say, well, Ben, you wanted them to get bigger. Yeah, I did. I guess I should have specified that I wanted them to get 1 inch or more than 1 inch taller than Royce O'Neale. Royce O'Neale listed at 6'7". I think he's more 6'6". I'll give Miles Bridges that. Miles Bridges listed at 6'7". I wanted them to get bigger. I wanted them to get lengthier. And the Suns bring in a guy who I don't think stylistically fits with the Phoenix Suns. When you insert Devin Booker next to him, yeah, he's going to get some more open jumpers and he's going to be able to play make a little bit more. But where's the fit? Defensively, what is he going to do for this team? This was a hard-nosed, defensive-minded, punch-you-in-the-mouth team. Miles Bridges does not bring really any of that. And I don't want to be the guy that's just like poo-pooing on the trade. Like, guys, I want the team to get better too. I'm a little disappointed because this is not the deal I would have made. I don't really get it from a basketball perspective. Guys, Mike Vigil put out a really good tweet of the Phoenix Suns, or I'm sorry, of the Charlotte Hornets and how they were with Miles Bridges off the court. This is Mike Vigil over the Timeline podcast. Is that the Hornets were significantly worse with him on the court this season. Even if you can, he mentioned this, even if you can spin this in a way that makes you feel good. Overall net rating with him off the court, they were 7 points better with him off the court. I don't get it. I don't get it from a getting bigger perspective, because you didn't get bigger, because now you've got Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and Miles Bridges in the starting lineup. That's 4, 6, 7 guys or shorter in the starting lineup, plus Mark Williams, who, cross your fingers that he's going to stay healthy. Then, who knows? Maybe you're starting Oso Ighodaro with them. And then it's like 6'10 Oso Ighodaro and 4, 6, 7 guys are shorter. They did not get bigger. This does not help them in the rebounding department that they were terrible at last year. It doesn't help them in the painted area mark. Miles Bridges, we're going to reference this graphic a lot, in the painted area last year. Not very good. Big old red in there, 60% around the rim. Not great for Miles Bridges last year. So I don't get it from that perspective, like the terms of like getting bigger. I don't get it from a defensive perspective. The best way you can mention Miles Bridges as a defender, he had a defensive rating of 115 last year. But the best way that you can mention Miles Bridges, the defender, is he's an inconsistent defender. Which, what does that tell you? Kind of similar to Jalen Green in an instance where both guys are superbly athletic. And it doesn't really make sense that they're not very good defenders, but they're just not. But at least with Jalen Green, I do see Jalen Green trying defensively consistently. It's one of the things where Jalen, I'm like, I don't know, at least he's trying. Miles Bridges takes plays off. 115 defensive rating, better with him off the court than he is on the court with the Charlotte Hornets last year. And here's the other thing, guys, before I get into the three-point shooting. Here's another thing. Who would you say are like the two most immature people on the Hornets last year? LaMelo Ball, driving history, can't really put him in front of a microphone without cursing. Threw a mop bucket at Con Knipple last year when I think he broke like some sort of rookie record. And then Miles Bridges, who we'll get into the person and some of his documentation and things that he's like found in the court of law being guilty of. We'll talk about that in just a second as well. The Charlotte Hornets had their most successful season in years. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. They were one win away from making the playoffs. They got obviously trounced by the Orlando Magic in the play-in game, but Miles Bridges has never contributed to winning basketball. Literally never. He's never been to the playoffs. He has never done anything to show that is a winning basketball player. And when you bring and the Hornets having their most successful season in years, you know what they said to themselves? Instead of extending Miles Bridges, which the Phoenix Suns are probably going to do, more on that in a second, they said, we want out of the LaMelo Ball and the Miles Bridges business. That's what they said. It wasn't me saying this. This is the Hornets. Most successful season in years. And they said, we want out of the LaMelo Ball business and the Miles Bridges business. Get him out of here. What does that tell you about Miles Bridges? Here's a hot take for you. I'm not so sure Miles Bridges is a better player than Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is a better defender. He's a better defender, tries harder defensively, better three-point shooter. If you told me Miles Bridges is better than Grayson Allen, I'm not going to kill you for it, but I'm not so sure he is. I think Grayson Allen has contributed to winning more recently than Miles Bridges has. So, I'm not trying to poo-poo on it because there is some positives, right? Some playmaking ability that he has. He can put the ball on the floor, potentially score the basketball. He's alongside Devin Booker, who is inherently going to make him better, probably make him a better three-point shooter. But that's the other thing. There wasn't a lot of great three-point shooters on the Suns last year. The two best three-point shooters you had, two of your three best, because Colin Gillespie as well, Royce O'Neale and Grayson Allen. Royce O'Neale and Grayson Allen. Both those guys walk out that door. Well, okay, Ben, what are you getting? And now, Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges, 33% shooting from three last year on 6 a game. 31% shooting from three last year. The year before that, 31% shooting from three on 7 a game. You have to go back 2 years ago where he shot 35% from three on 6.5 a game in the 2023-2024 season. So it's not like, and look at this graph. Look at this graph chart, guys, of him shooting from three. He's got like one spot in the corner that you feel comfortable with him shooting a three from. So, and I apologize for the audio audience that can't see it. It's a whole map chart of Miles Bridges shooting the ball. He's got one spot in the right corner where he shot 40% from three. Everywhere else, it's not great. This is per synergy, by the way. So what is he going to do to help Devin Booker? Is he going to help out more in the painted area? Because that's more like kind of Mark Williams' realm. Is he going to be a mid-range assassin with Dillon Brooks and now Jalen Green? Now you're just like, having facsimiles of each other on offense. From a basketball fit, I didn't want to go the person fit. We'll do that in a second. But from a basketball fit, where does he fit? Where? I would love for you guys to tell me in the comment section below. I would love for you guys to tell me why. But I don't get it. Well, Matt Ishbia and Brian Gregory have both preached culture, fit, character. I'll tell you why Miles Bridges doesn't fit any of those things either next. Today's episode is brought to you by the fine folks over at FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get a bonus bet for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. The World Cup has been absolutely electric thus far. And, I'm looking at the USA taking on Bosnia here on Wednesday at 5 p.m. And you best believe I'm just riding with the good old US of A, baby. Heavy favorites, minus 750 to beat Bosnia. And that's what I love about these tournaments, man. You can turn on a match between teams you don't normally follow, and suddenly one goal changes everything. The tension builds so quickly that you're invested before you even realize it. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Also, a reminder, guys, we launched our Everydayer Club. What is our Everydayer Club? Well, it's $5 a month, and it's access to an ad-free audio version of Locked On Phoenix Suns, an invite to the members-only Locked On Suns group chat, exclusive access to national bonus shows, members-only Locked On merch store, and a 60% discount on additional Everydayer Club membership level subscriptions. Thank you for supporting Locked On Phoenix Suns. You can find that down in the YouTube description if you're watching on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're watching on audio if you want to get signed up there. Thank you for continuously supporting Locked On Phoenix Suns. So, when I talk about Miles Bridges, the person, It's not great. And when I say these things, guys, I'm not trying to stand over someone and judge someone and be holier than thou. Look at me, everyone. That's not what I'm trying to do. I am simply trying to assess the situation because the Phoenix Suns have forced me to talk about this. Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia, both post Big Three era, I thought got the idea of culture matters, fit matters, the locker room matters, character matters. You be the judge, not me. Miles Bridges, infamously, and I encourage everyone to go do their own homework on this. I'm not going to post the photos on here. I don't see that that's right to do. But I would encourage you to brush yourself up on the Miles Bridges history. Charlotte Hornets forward Miles Bridges. Recent legal issues stem from a 2022 felony domestic violence case where he pleaded no contest. The felony plea pleaded no contest, which allowed him to avoid jail time. He had to go through 3 years of probation, 52 weeks of parenting classes, 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling, and 100 hours of community service, avoiding jail time. It gets much deeper than that. There have also been some drop charges where it's been like some child endangerment stuff. Those were dropped. The things that we're talking about are just Miles Bridges pleading no contest to his then girlfriend at the time of some, again, I would go check out the photos, some pretty gross things that left his girlfriend, then girlfriend at the time, battered and bruised. And my question is and this is the other thing, guys. The Suns have to be ready for these questions. They have to be ready for it. Because there is going to be a press conference at some point. I haven't gotten anything yet to this point. I was just at the Coop press conference. I'll be at this one as well. There is going to be a press conference. And Phoenix media is going to ask about this. I feel a duty to ask about this if no one else does. Hey, Miles, how have you grown as a human being since not these allegations, since in court you were proven, you pleaded no contest? How have you grown since then? Second question to either Matt Ishbia or Brian Gregory. By the way, Matt Ishbia better be up there for this one. Hey, buddy, don't be up there for all the great stuff. And maybe some people will perceive this as great, the basketball player. I certainly don't, but we'll see. Matt Ishbia better be up there to answer these questions too. Matt, BG, follow-up question for you guys. You talk about fit, you talk about culture, you talk about chemistry, all this stuff, character. What do you say to the casual Suns fan who looks at this guy's previous character and says, I'm not so sure about that? They've got to be ready for those questions. And again, I'm not trying to stand over someone, not trying to be holier than thou, but this goes against what they have been preaching for the past, 2 years. The other thing is, the obvious elephant in the room is Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neale were like true pros. Like, I might have issues with the Suns keeping Royce. I think he was the one you probably got to move. Not a great defender, doesn't move super well, older player. But he's got playoff experience. The players love him. And he's an overall around good dude. Good dude. Grayson Allen as well. Kind, savvy veteran. Has not had one of those. Like, he really grew up. Remember, he came to the league kind of a little bit of a brat. Some of the things going on. He's really grown up into a real pros pro. So you're sending those guys out and bringing this guy in. What does that say about you as an organization? Not to mention this other thing. You gave up a 2033 first round pick, which again, we'll get into the value of that in just a second. I think people are being completely disingenuous about how valuable that pick is. But by trading away that pick you are basically saying, and I don't have it out in front of you, but I believe Keith Smith said that he is eligible for a 3-year, $85 million contract extension. By trading away that pick, you are basically telling everyone you are extending this guy. So not only, I don't want to say that the Suns are okay with what Miles Bridges did. That's too far. It's like that is too far. Like they didn't do that. They didn't plead no contest. But by extending him, which is probably going to be a 3-year, $70+ million deal, you are at least saying you've got some level of tolerance for it. Some level. Some. Is that fair to say? Is that fair to say? And I have to speak, like, everyone comes from different backgrounds, guys. Everyone's got, and I respect everyone's opinion on this. You believe someone deserves a second chance and they should be in the NBA, still cool. You believe what Miles Bridges did, I don't know, you're not okay with it, but like you're like, second chance, whatever. My heart as a person has really changed since I've had my daughter. And I obviously love my daughter. I can get emotional talking about my daughter. I love her so much. But I'm a husband, and so I have a wife, right? And I have a 4-month-old daughter. It's kind of hard for me to just look past those allegations. And so that's my background, right? Maybe Ben, 10 months ago, before he had a kid, maybe he doesn't think as strongly. Maybe he's, he did his time. It's hard for me to look past that. It just is. So although I respect other people's opinions, and I've always preached this, everyone gets to have their own opinion. It's just, it feels a little gross. And that's not me saying I'm not going to root for the Suns. I love the Phoenix Suns. They were my first love. This makes it a little hard to just look past that. So the character component of Matt Ishbia being like, we want high-level guys. We want smart, savvy, character, through-the-roof, locker-room guys. Jordan Goodwin fits that. Devin Booker fits that. Jalen Green fits that. He's been great here as a person. Everyone loves him. It's hard for me to make that same argument for Miles Bridges. Where do the Suns go from here? What does this trade open up? It gets much deeper than that. We're going to need a whole nother show, but we're going to wrap it up here next. There's one more component that I want to talk about, and that is the 2033 first-round pick, the unprotected 2033 first-round pick. So the Suns got back a 2029 first-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick. That 2029 first-round pick was the same one that they actually traded for Mark Williams. So the Suns are going to have a first-round pick next year, unless they use it in a different deal. But some Suns fans and some media are being incredibly disingenuous about that pick. Incredibly disingenuous about that pick. Well, Ben, it's a 5th grader. I'm like, guys, come on. It's not the 5th grader I'm worried about. Does the ends justify the means? Watch the Charlotte Hornets try to use that 2033 Phoenix Suns unprotected first-round pick in a trade for Jalen Brown. Just watch. Watch. Or reroute it in a way that helps get them Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown justifies a 2033 unprotected first-round pick. It does. Miles Bridges does not. So I'm like, I don't know if I care too much that they traded that pick. I mean, I'm not fond of it, but you could have gotten something else with that. And with the new lottery rules, who knows where the hell the Suns are at that point? So there's that component of it. What they gave up, the 2033 first-round pick, hard to wrap my mind around the Hornets not being like, yeah, we'll make that trade happen immediately. No problem. No questions asked. Like, the most valuable thing in all this isn't Grayson or Royce. It's that pick. And I know the Suns got a first-round pick back. I've got the story here from Sean Sharania just to remind you guys, because That pick is, was basically on a loan for a little bit there for a second. But that trade, that pick now for the Phoenix Suns is the least favorable pick. Do you guys remember that of years ago where the Suns traded that first round pick to Mark Williams? That first round pick is the least favorable of Charlotte, Utah, Cleveland, and Minnesota. So it's going to be a back end first round pick. Literally as I'm saying this, someone just texted me, why give up that pick? Bridges is an expiring deal too. So literally people are texting me that it's craziness. But here's the justification about it, or the justification for it. I mean, holy cow. Twitter is a hexscape right now. People keep throwing out information every second. But this is per my guy Brett Siegel over at Clutch Points. By sacrificing a future 2033 first round pick for a 2029 first round pick, the Suns now have access to all of their picks 2027 through 2029, opening up potential trade avenues for Phoenix. Smart front office maneuverability. He also said, after this Miles Bridges trade and opening up access to their draft picks for the next 4 years, in 4 years and other trades, I'm starting to believe Jalen Green's long-term future isn't in Phoenix. This is a team that is positioning itself for a big move, whether it's now or in a few months. So there might be more to this Miles Bridges move. There has to be more. This can't be it. It can't be. And maybe the Suns are going to wait until February at the trade deadline, wait for a disgruntled star. But again, here comes the news right at you. John Gambadoro over at 987. The Suns trade for Miles Bridges came about late last night. The plan is that Miles Bridges will not just be here for 1 year. At some point, not sure when they would like to extend him. To replace Grayson Allen, the Suns are looking at 7 to 8 free agent shooting guards. So another move coming here in free agency soon, because obviously moving on from Royce O'Neale, moving on from Grayson Allen, that opens up another roster spot to bring someone in. So there's that component to it as well. For those of you who are on the Ja Morant bandwagon, someone asked John Gambadoro, okay, well, is it Ja Morant potentially for in a deal that the Suns are trying to bring back that other star? Gambo has ruled that out. He said no chance on Ja Morant. This one is a big flat 0. So the Suns look like they're getting ready to make another move, but whether that is now or in February, I'm not saying it will justify the Miles Bridges trade, because truthfully, again, still a Suns fan, all this stuff, it is incredibly hard to root for this individual given his history. But obviously the team as a whole, I'm always going to root for the Phoenix Suns. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan true and through, and it's my first love. I love it. But it does remain to be seen now with the Suns opening up their picks, who they could bring in here. And honestly, I haven't even had time to look through that. Look through that. I don't know who it is. I don't know. Are the Suns looking at Jaylen Brown? I don't know. AD, Embiid. I truthfully, no one knows. But it is a weird coincidence that they just seemingly open up all these picks. This is where the Phoenix Suns stand right now, post Miles Bridges trade. This is per Bobby Marks, who does amazing work over for ESPN. They've obviously got Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks, Miles Bridges, Mark Williams in the starting lineup. The Suns' projected salary right now is $208 million, so that obviously hasn't changed a bit. They've got a couple of guys who are extension eligible: Dillon Brooks, obviously Miles Bridges, Oso Ighodaro. And they've still got that non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which used to be $15 million. Now it is $6.1 million. And of course, veteran minimum contracts at their disposal. So that is what the Phoenix Suns look like right now. I really wanted to get in today how this affects Rasheer Fleming and Kaman Malawach. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. I know we were supposed to do a Mailbag Monday. We haven't done a Mailbag Monday in 2 weeks. I apologize for that. Obviously, this takes precedent, but I am so curious to what you, the everydayers, think of this Miles Bridges trade. So let me know in the comment section. DM me. I'm curious. Hit me up at Ben Garcia Show, BenGarciaShow. That's Ben Garcia Show on any social media platform. Continuously fire in your questions for the Mailbag Monday about Miles Bridges. I will happily try to answer all of them to the best of my ability. But my last thought I will say is the Phoenix Suns are getting Miles Bridges. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of just left scratching my head. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe button. I'll be with you guys tomorrow. It is going to be an absolutely gnarly week of Miles Bridges coverage as free agency gets closer. Appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you guys on Monday. See ya.